So as you know, here in the food forest we do grow lots of fruit trees, and among those we have probably about 10 plum trees. And this year, as in most years, they're absolutely absolutely laden with fruit. They're struggling to keep their branches up because there's so much weight. These are fabulous. Look at all the fruit. These are called President Plum. It's supposed to be one of the best plums you can get for eating and for cooking. And we've had many harvests from these plum trees. But this year we had a little bit of an issue last year, but this year we've got a major issue with these trees. So even the young trees are suffering. Again, they've got lots of fruit. This is another President Plum, but it's got the same problem as the other one. Over here we've got a Victoria plum tree, and this is a fabulous plum for just eating straight from the tree, as we have done in past years. But I'm going to tell you again, this is still a plum tree that's got the same problem as the other ones. But why, I hear you cry? What's the problem? The plums look nice, the tree looks healthy. Why could you possibly not be able to eat these plums this year? Well, I'll tell you the reason. I've noticed as I've started harvesting them that most, if not all, of the plums have got a little maggot inside, and it's called the plum moth. And what it does is the moth overwinters in the soil, it pupates, and then in late spring it hatches out into a moth, and then it injects its seed, I suppose, if you like, its eggs into the actual plums. Whoa, it's a windy day. Sorry about the noise of the wind. So yes, what it does is it injects its egg into the plum as the plum's actually actively growing. I thought it was when the blossom was on the tree that it somehow got the eggs in there, but it turns out that it's not that. It's the actual plum itself that it goes for. So what it does is it creates a little hole. I'll just get a plum here to show you. So it creates a little hole like the little brown area there, and that's where it's laid its egg. And then the little maggot hatches out and it starts to devour the plum from the inside, and it leaves behind a horrible brown residue. And once the maggot is in there and it's hatched, then you just can't eat the plum. You wouldn't want to eat it. And I would say out of all of our trees, a good 99% of the plums are affected. So I'm having to pick them all, and I'm having to dispose of them, because if I leave the plums on the tree, then they will naturally fall to the ground, and then the maggot will crawl out when it's big enough, and it will go into the soil and it will pupate, and then the whole cycle will start again. And this basically guarantees that next year we'll have exactly the same problem. So today's the day I'm going to harvest a load of these plums and make some plum chutney. So I do just need to check them to make sure they're okay inside. So I'll just pick a couple, and I'm going to cut them open to make sure they're okay. Right, so it's as I thought. As I'm opening up these plums, I'm finding that there's a horrible brown sort of coloration to the side of the stone, and that's just an indication that something has moved in there. And after a bit of research, that's it, focus. I've discovered that it's called a plum moth that lays its eggs onto the outside of the plum, and then a maggot hatches and starts to devour the plum from the inside. I have actually got a plum here that's got one of the maggots. And focus. Maggot inside, if you can just see the tree keeps swaying, and I'll try and open this plum up so you can see the actual maggot. Okay, so there's a little critter, the little pink wiggly worm. And they are basically in most of the plums that I've opened up. Sorry, I'll try and get a better picture of this if I can for you. It's really difficult to see, isn't it? It looks like it's worked its way out onto the floor. But anyway, so basic. Oh no, there it is. There it is. Hopefully you can see that. It's a pink thing just in the middle of the picture, basically. It's just a pink maggot. Okay, if you do fishing, I suppose you could harvest them all to go fishing with, but not very nice when you find them in the plums. So eating the plums straight from the tree is a definite no-no, unfortunately now. So I'm going to have to harvest these, and we'll see what we can do with them. So what's the solution? Well, it seems that in May time we can put up something called pheromone traps, and these will attract the male and it will stop them mating with the female. And so if there's no mating, there'll be no eggs, and if there's no eggs, then there should be no maggots or caterpillars, whatever you might want to call them. So that's the plan for next spring. Obviously it doesn't help this year's crop, but the only other alternative is for me to chop every one of these trees down, which I don't really want to do because I love plums. They make fabulous jam and I do bottle a lot of them. So what I've been doing this morning is I've been basically just trimming off all of the branches that have got plums on and putting them into this bucket, and that's the way to stop the cycle. So now I have to dispose of these plums. Now I'm going to have tons and tons, buckets and buckets full to get rid of. So what I've thought about doing is putting them all in an old wheelie bin and just letting them rot down, because that way as the fruit rots it will cause anaerobic bacteria to build up, and that should hopefully kill the bugs. It'll just basically stop more from going into the soil. It won't prevent any that are already in the soil waiting, but hopefully it will lessen the job of the pheromone traps. I can also, apparently I've read up about it today, and I can also put some nematodes out, and they'll be parasitic on the pupa of the plum moth, and also that will help to lessen their numbers. So anyway, that's my unfortunate story for today. Hopefully your plum trees, if you've got any, won't be suffering from this issue. So I'll say goodbye for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. So this is where I'm dumping all of the infested fruit. I've had quite a lot of bucketfuls now. The wheelie bin is sort of probably about a third full at the moment, and that's basically just off of one tree. Now I am going to try and salvage what I can. I'm going to keep the bigger plums and cut into those in the hope that I'll find some that are not infested yet. But other than that, I certainly don't want to be eating them, so I'll add these to the bin. These should rot down through the winter, and then they should be safe to just spread onto the ground in the woodland here. That's the only way to dispose of them, really, so that it breaks the cycle of the plum moth grub. So let's hope it works.